Thorson throws a jump ball. The 50-50 ball is won by Penn State. Amani Oruwariya able to make the pick. Tommy Stevens now is in a quarterback. Trace McSorley to his backup quarterback, Tommy Stevens, for the touchdown.
You see the creativity of Joe Moorhead. Nobody's expecting you to throw the football to him, and he's wide open for the touchdown.
Penn State is now ranked #2 in the Associated Press poll, the Nittany Lions' highest ranking since 1999. That in advance of a Saturday night whiteout showdown at Beaver Stadium against the University of Michigan. We are pleased to be joined by Penn State head coach James Franklin from our campus studio in State College. Coach, first and foremost, you're always very generous with your time. Appreciate you being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate it.
All right, James, I think you and I would both be well served if we agree that the only future opponents we're going to talk about in the next 5 minutes are Michigan, Michigan, and Michigan. Deal?
Yeah, let's not waste anybody's time.
All right, I thought you would go there as well. James, I'm curious as to what #2 feels like. I know it's just a ranking. I know it doesn't matter when the committee comes out with its release, but for what these players have been through, what the program has dealt with, what was the feeling of accomplishment like to look and see #2 Penn State?
You know, to be honest with you, for me, it hasn't really felt any different. This is the first time in my career as a head coach or as a player or as an assistant to be ranked this high, but it really hasn't felt any different. I wake up every morning, still feel like there's a lot of areas that we have to improve, a lot of different things we need to work on. Got tremendous respect for our opponent, Michigan, so spending all week kind of focused on that. In our team meeting on Sunday, I kind of addressed it with the players. Guys, you've earned this, but the reality is none of that matters. Game day's coming. That doesn't matter. We need to prepare this week. We're ranked #2 in the country. That doesn't matter. We need to prepare this week. All these things, if not handled the right way, can become distractions. And if you look around the country this past week, a lot of teams, highly ranked teams got upset. So, let's not allow this to become a distraction. You've earned it. And that's great. It's going to be wonderful for the campus and the community, but let's focus on our objective, which is being 1-0 and playing Michigan well.
James, I would make the argument that part of your success last year was based on the team chemistry inside the locker room, how well the team bonded together, dealing with all the adversity, all those injuries. I saw it firsthand when I was with you guys out at the Rose Bowl. How would you describe this year's team chemistry and the locker room atmosphere?
Well, I think it's built off of that. I don't think there's any doubt about it. How our guys feel about each other, the relationship the coaches have worked hard to develop with the players as well, our belief in each other. I think the Iowa was a great example. I mean, there wasn't one person on the sideline during the Iowa game, that didn't think we were going to win that football game, in a tough environment on the road. So I think it all comes down to that. Obviously, it's techniques, it's fundamentals, it's scheme, but I think a huge part of it is the relationship and the trust and that we have for each other and the love that we have for each other. You can't really put a value on it.
James, what was the biggest area of emphasis during the off week?
Well, I think for us, it's you kind of break it up. I wouldn't say one thing over another, but it's a part of development in terms of our younger players and getting them some live work. It's getting our veteran players and our players that have played a lot of plays for us rest and getting them as healthy as we possibly can after a tough stretch of football. And then it's also recruiting. So we try to kind of balance all three of those things. And then the fourth thing, obviously, is getting a little bit of a head start on Michigan. So Wednesday was a head start on Michigan. Monday was a big self-scout, day for us to study ourselves. And then, Thursday was a young guy development practice. And then, obviously, Sunday, we were able to spend all of our time on Michigan rather than having to go back and make corrections from the previous game. So got a little bit more of a jump start there as well.
James, anytime you have a problem that involves Saquon Barkley, as long as he's on your team, that's a good problem to have. But I'm curious as to what inherent challenges lie when you're trying to game plan to get a guy involved as much as you want him involved, and at the same time knowing that the opposing defense is going to do everything that they can to take him away.
Well, to me, we don't really do that. I mean, you could watch a bunch of our games from this year where maybe the first two drives of the game, he hasn't touched the ball yet, I think, maybe in the old days in, more traditional style, pro-style offense where you'd move guys around by formation and try to create matchups and things like that, that's what it was all about. But for us, we stay in, a very similar 2-by-2 set all the time, and it's almost all RPO. So depending on what the defense, is doing is going to determine whether we're throwing the ball, whether we're handing the ball off, so that we're, instead of calling to try to, take what the defense gives, we're really able to read it completely. And, so that's not really how we are. I think that is a reason why we were using him on kickoff return. It's just another way to get the ball into his hands. But, for us, it's about giving the ball to the person that's get the best opportunity to make a play. And that's what our RPO offense is all about.
As you mentioned, James, some extra time to scout Michigan. What jumps off the tape when you watch the Wolverines?
Well, I've known Don Brown for a long time. He was the defensive coordinator at Maryland when I was the offensive coordinator, so we used to go against each other every day at practice. I think he's one of the better, if not the best, defensive coordinators in the country. He's done a great job. You look at him this year, they didn't have a whole lot of returning starters, but they did have a lot of guys that played a lot of football for him coming back, and some young, talented players. And they're playing unbelievably well right now. They got a very, very aggressive scheme. They're put their guys in man coverage, and they're going to try to get to the quarterback, create as many one-on-one blocks up front as possible, and try to win those. And then obviously, offensively, Coach Harbaugh does a great job. Their traditional pro-style offense, they're going to try to hammer you, play action pass, those types of things. And then they're always really good on special teams. So, I would say they're a traditional Big Ten style team, but their defense is really what's made them special the last couple of years.
Should be a special atmosphere as well. Whiteout. I know you've called on your Twitter page for maybe the biggest crowd in Beaver Stadium history. Are you feeling already, even on a Monday, the anticipation on campus building up to this game?
Well, as you know, as coaches, we kind of go into the submarine and don't leave. So I don't, kind of leave the office, while the sun's up. So I'm not really sure. I'll have a better idea of that later in the week. But there's no doubt in my mind that this place will be electric. The reality is we can't do this by ourselves. It's going to take the entire Penn State community and the Nittany Nation to come together. And let's go in there Saturday and have fun and have a party and celebrate our history and celebrate our traditions and celebrate this 2017 football team and show the country and show Michigan what we're all about.
All right, James, before I let you go, I wanted to get a little bit of clarification on one tweet you sent out last week, and I'm quoting here, "Recruiting is a crazy business. People will do anything to create drama," end quote. What was the subtext behind that?
Well, there's always different things popping up all over the country with media and things like that, different things that people are speculating that can create distractions and can create drama. And I think that's probably the most important role as the head coach, is to eliminate distractions and keep your players focused on the task at hand, which is being 1-0 this week and playing well against Michigan. So that was just to kind of quiet any drama or any speculation that may be going on out there and get my team and our fan base focused on what we need to be focused on, which is Michigan.
And there should be plenty of drama on Saturday night in State College. James Franklin, as always, great to catch up. Coach, really appreciate your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.